Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have naturally fresh breath all day long, while others struggle with persistent bad breath despite brushing their teeth multiple times? What if I told you that there's a simple secret that most dentists know, or rarely share with their patients, a method so effective that it can transform your oral health and confidence in just 24 hours? Today, I'm going to reveal exactly what causes that embarrassing morning breath that lingers throughout the day, and more importantly, I'll share the precise technique that can eliminate it completely. But here's what's fascinating. This isn't about expensive mouthwashes or complicated routines. It's about understanding one crucial factor that 90% of people completely overlook. Stay with me until the end because I'll show you exactly how to implement this game-changing approach, and trust me, your family and friends will notice the difference immediately. Do you wake up every morning worried about talking to people because of your breath? Have you ever covered your mouth when speaking closely to someone, feeling embarrassed and self-conscious? Let me ask you something. How many times have you bought expensive mouthwashes, tried different toothpastes, or even considered more drastic solutions, only to find that the problem returns within hours? The truth is, bad breath affects over 80 million people, and most of them are attacking the problem completely wrong. They're focusing on masking the smell instead of eliminating the root cause. But what if the solution was simpler than you ever imagined? What if everything you've been told about oral hygiene was only addressing half the problem? Here's what's really happening in your mouth right now, and why traditional approaches fail so miserably. When you sleep, your mouth becomes a breeding ground for bacteria. But it's not just any bacteria. There are specific strains that produce sulfur compounds, and these are the real culprits behind that persistent odor. Now, here's the part that will surprise you. Brushing your teeth only removes about 25% of these bacteria. The remaining 75% are hiding in places your toothbrush can't reach effectively. Have you ever noticed that some people can eat garlic and onions without their breath being affected for long, while others seem to carry odors for days? The difference lies in their oral microbiome, the delicate balance of good and bad bacteria in their mouth. Most people unknowingly destroy this balance every single day, creating the perfect environment for odor-producing bacteria to thrive. But here's where it gets interesting. There's a specific area in your mouth that harbors 90% of the bacteria responsible for bad breath, and most people completely ignore it during their oral care routine. Can you guess where this area is? It's not your teeth, and it's not between your teeth. It's actually your tongue, specifically the back portion that you probably never clean properly. Now, let me share something that changed everything for my patients. There's a technique I learned from a colleague who specializes in oral microbiology, and it's so effective that patients report immediate results within 24 hours. But before I reveal this technique, let me ask you, have you ever scraped your tongue and smelled the residue? If you haven't tried this, you might be shocked at what you discover. This simple test reveals exactly why traditional brushing isn't enough. The secret lies in understanding that your tongue has thousands of tiny papillae, small bumps, that trap food particles, dead cells, and bacteria. These papillae create the perfect hiding spots for anaerobic bacteria, the type that thrives in low oxygen environments and produces those sulfur compounds we associate with bad breath. Regular brushing barely touches these areas, which explains why you can brush thoroughly and still have persistent odor issues. Here's the revolutionary part. There's a specific sequence and technique that not only removes these bacteria, but actually promotes the growth of beneficial bacteria that naturally fight odor-causing organisms. Are you ready to learn exactly how this works? The process involves 3 precise steps that must be performed in the correct order. For maximum effectiveness, first, you need to understand timing. When you perform this technique matters just as much as how you perform it. Most people clean their mouth at the wrong times, actually making the problem worse. Have you ever wondered why your breath seems worse in the morning, even after brushing before bed? It's because you're not addressing the bacterial regrowth that happens overnight. The technique starts with proper hydration, but not the kind you think. There's a specific type of rinse that changes the pH of your mouth, creating an environment where beneficial bacteria can flourish, while harmful bacteria struggle to survive. This isn't about killing all bacteria. That's actually counterproductive. It's about creating selective pressure that favors the bacteria you want, while eliminating the ones causing problems. Now, here's what most people get wrong about tongue cleaning. They either use the wrong tools or apply the wrong pressure, or they don't reach the critical areas where most bacteria accumulate. The back third of your tongue is where 80% of odor-producing bacteria live. But this is also the area that triggers most people's gag reflex. There's a specific technique to overcome this challenge while ensuring thorough cleaning. But here's the game changer that even many dentists don't know. The direction and pattern of cleaning matters tremendously. Most people scrape from back to front, but this actually pushes bacteria into the crevices between papillae. The correct technique involves a specific pattern that lifts bacteria out of these hiding spots, rather than pushing them deeper. Are you starting to see why conventional approaches fail? They're working against your most natural ecosystem rather than with it. The most effective approach works with your body's natural processes to create lasting change. This is why some people see immediate results while others struggle for years with the same problems. Let me share what happens when you implement this correctly. Within the first day, you'll notice that the white coating on your tongue begins to disappear. This coating is actually a biofilm, a protective layer that harmful bacteria create to shield themselves from your immune system and cleaning attempts. Once you disrupt this biofilm properly, the bacteria become vulnerable and can be eliminated effectively. But there's more to this story. Have you ever noticed that stress affects your breath, or that certain foods impact some people more than others? These factors all relate to your oral microbiome and how balanced it is. When you restore proper bacterial balance, your mouth becomes much more resilient to these external factors. The second part of the technique involves a specific timing protocol. You need to allow enough time between steps for your most natural processes to work, but not so much time that bacteria begin to reestablish themselves. This timing is crucial and explains why some people see dramatic results, while others experience only temporary improvement. Here's something fascinating. Your saliva plays a crucial role in maintaining oral health, but most people don't produce enough saliva or have saliva with the wrong composition. There are specific techniques to stimulate healthy saliva production, and this becomes part of your daily routine. Have you ever noticed that people who never seem to have breath issues often have very active saliva production? This isn't coincidence. The third component involves understanding how different foods affect your oral environment. Some foods actually help maintain healthy bacterial balance, while others feed the harmful bacteria you're trying to eliminate. But here's what's surprising. Some foods that are considered healthy for your body actually promote bad breath, while some foods you might avoid are actually beneficial for oral health. Now, let me address something important. Many people try to solve bad breath by avoiding social situations or constantly using mints and gum. But these approaches actually make the problem worse over time. Mints and gum often contain sugars that feed harmful bacteria, and avoiding social interaction doesn't address the underlying issue, it just allows it to persist and potentially worsen. The technique I'm sharing creates a cascade effect in your mouth. Once you establish the right bacterial balance, your mouth becomes self-maintaining to a large degree. This is why some people can maintain fresh breath with minimal effort, while others struggle despite elaborate routines. The key is getting the initial balance right. Are you wondering how long this process takes to see results? Most of my patients notice significant improvement within 24 hours, with dramatic changes by day 3. But here's the crucial part. You must follow the complete protocol. Skipping steps or modifying the technique reduces effectiveness significantly. Consistency in the first week is absolutely critical for long-term success. Let me share a story about one of my patients who struggled with chronic bad breath. For over 20 years, she had tried everything: special toothpaste, multiple dentist visits, even considered surgical options. Within 1 week of implementing this technique properly, her husband commented that he could kiss her in the morning for the first time in decades. 6 months later, she still maintains the same fresh breath with minimal effort. This brings up an important point. The social impact of bad breath goes far beyond personal comfort. It affects relationships, professional opportunities, and overall quality of life. When you solve this problem effectively, the improvements extend into every area of your life. Have you ever held back from speaking up in meetings or avoided close conversations because of breath concerns? Imagine the freedom of never worrying about this again. The maintenance phase is surprisingly simple once you establish the right foundation. Unlike complicated routines that become burdensome over time, this approach becomes easier and more natural as your ecosystem stabilizes. You'll find that you need less intervention over time, not more. But here's a critical warning. There are several common mistakes that can undo all your progress quickly. These mistakes are so common that most people make at least one of them. which explains why many approaches fail even when they start showing promise. Understanding what to avoid is just as important as knowing what to do. Understanding the science behind this approach will help you implement it correctly and maintain long-term results. Your mouth is home to over 700 different species of bacteria, and the goal isn't to eliminate all of them. That's impossible and would be harmful. The goal is to create an environment where beneficial bacteria dominate, naturally suppressing the harmful varieties that cause odor. For those of you who are ready to transform your oral health and eliminate bad breath permanently, remember that consistency in the first week determines your long-term success. The technique works, but only if you follow it precisely and completely. Half measures produce half results, and in this case, that means the problem returns. If you found this information valuable and you're ready to never worry about bad breath again, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more health insights that can transform your daily life. Leave a comment below telling me what surprised you most about the real causes of bad breath. I read every comment and often create videos based on your questions and experiences. Don't forget to like this video if you learned something new, and watch the next video on your screen where I reveal the 3 foods that naturally eliminate morning breath and support long-term oral health.